Bring in somebody from the McCain side on this now. Nancy Pfotenhauer's spokesperson for John McCain. You hear what people are asking. Why are you talking about something that someone did when Barack Obama was 8 years old, when the economy seems to be in a meltdown?
Well, you know, Rick, that's not the only thing we're talking about. In fact, if you actually listen to the entire speech or follow what Senator McCain and Governor Palin are saying, certainly, what you'll find out is that most of their emphasis, probably a good 75–80% of it, is on the economy, and rightfully so. And in fact, Senator McCain showed how concerned he was by even suspending his campaign, pulling some $12 million in advertising off the air when we were only 40 days out from the election in order to come back to Washington and do the people's business. So it's a very, very high priority, Rick, and I think that needs to come through.
But here's Sarah Palin Saturday, Sunday, and now this morning as well. In fact, she's in Clearwater, Florida. What's one of the first things she brings up in her speech? This. Here it is.
Turns out one of his earliest supporters is a man named Bill Ayers. And according to the New York Times, he was a domestic terrorist and part of a group that, quote, launched a campaign of bombings that would target the Pentagon and our U.S. Capitol.
And what's interesting now is, Nancy, that Barack Obama's firing back with a 13-minute documentary that people can find on the internet now, talking about the Keating Five and John McCain. Again, the opposite of what most Americans are thinking about right now. Do we have a clip of that? Let me show you a clip of that, Nancy. Here it is.
Fraud is the creation of trust, and then it's betrayal.
Many of our fellow citizens apparently believe that your services were bought by Charles Keating.
The Keating Five involved all the things that have brought the modern crisis. Senator McCain has not learned the lessons.
All right, I think we've seen enough of that. I mean, if you add this up, this stuff is 60 years old.
Well, you know, and Rick, the whole point is, we've mentioned it in a couple of speeches. Obviously, it struck a chord because Barack Obama's campaign came out and did a preemptive negative campaign ad. I mean, which is pretty interesting from a tactical standpoint. But, you know, the bottom line is we emphasize this because it's part and parcel, his distancing.
But when you do that, Nancy, I'm just going to interrupt you for a minute. When you do that, don't you invite... Look, I'll tell you something right now. Keating and John McCain have never come out of my lips during this newscast in the 4 or 5 years that I've been anchoring the news at CNN. Never. I just didn't think, and many people didn't think it was an issue because it tends to be old news. When you talk about Obama's record, suddenly it becomes a documentary, and now news stations are covering it. Did you invite it?
Rick, it's very important to draw attention to this for a couple of reasons. The most important being that Barack Obama says whatever he needs to say in front of whatever group he happens to be in, which is why the Barack Obama running in the general election is very, very different from the Barack Obama running in the primary election. And so when Mr. Ayers was useful to Barack Obama, then Barack Obama hung out with him. As soon as he became a senator, he didn't. But you've got him, I mean, in meetings with him in '95, at, you know, theoretically launching his political career, at least having one of his very early meetings there. In '97, endorsing his book, and serving on boards with him through 2002, exchanging voicemails and emails with him through 2005.
I understand.
I just think that, Rick, when you take the fact that he jettisons things over the side whenever it's inconvenient, whether it's his pledge about public financing, whether it's his past position on tax
I get that, Nancy, and
I
think, pardon me for interrupting, I think I get that. I think most people do. I think the question the American people have is, with all this going on right now, why are both men, not just John McCain, why is John McCain talking about Bill Ayers, and why is Barack Obama talking about, you know, the Keating Five, when a lot of people would consider that to be more of a relic-y sort of historic point? But we'll continue talking about it, and you defended your position well. Nancy, thanks so much for Pfotenhauer.